Have you ever wondered why you struggle so much, even when you're trying your hardest? Why some people work endlessly, and yet they barely move forward, while others, almost effortlessly, seem to get richer, more powerful, more secure with every passing year? It feels unfair, doesn't it? Like life gave out invisible maps, and some people were handed the shortcut, while others were told to wander blindfolded. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist and thinker, believed that these struggles are not only about money or opportunity or luck. He taught that much of our lives are shaped by forces inside us that we don't fully see. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate." That's an unsettling thought, because it suggests that the struggles we face aren't always because of the outside world. They're also about what lies inside, the fears we never question, the doubts we carry, the habits that quietly sabotage us. Now pause for a moment. Think of someone you know who seems to rise easily. They're not necessarily smarter. They're not necessarily working harder. But when opportunity knocks, they step through the door without hesitation. And then think of times when you hesitated. Times when you pulled back, second-guessed yourself, or talked yourself out of trying. That difference between moving forward and pulling back isn't just about circumstances. It's about unconscious patterns. Jung called this the shadow, the hidden side of ourselves, the parts we deny, suppress, or simply don't understand. He wrote, "Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. And when that shadow goes unacknowledged, it shapes our struggles. It whispers things like, 'You're not ready. You'll fail. You're not like them. You don't deserve it.' Meanwhile, those who seem to get richer often live with different patterns. Some of them grew up surrounded by wealth, so their shadow doesn't carry the same fears around money. Some of them were taught to act boldly, so hesitation never enters their mind. Some of them have learned to see risk as opportunity, not as danger. This doesn't make them superior. It just means they carry different unconscious scripts. And that's where the encouragement lies, because scripts can be rewritten. You see, your struggles are not signs of weakness. They are signals. Each repeated frustration, each obstacle you face again and again, it's your unconscious trying to get your attention. Jung believed that the things we resist most are exactly what we need to face. He said, "What you resist persists." So if you resist fear, it grows stronger. If you resist doubt, it digs deeper. If you resist failure, it keeps showing up. The only way forward is to face the shadow, to bring it into the light. Think about this in terms of money and success. Maybe you've noticed a pattern in your own life. Every time you save, something unexpected drains it away. Every time you get close to progress, you self-sabotage. Every time an opportunity arrives, you hesitate until it passes. It's not that you're cursed. It's that part of you deep inside believes you're not ready, or that you don't deserve more, or that comfort is safer than growth. And here's the hopeful part. The moment you begin to see those patterns, you start breaking them. You take back control. You realize the voice that says you can't isn't truth. It's shadow. And shadows disappear in the light. The rich get richer, in part, because their patterns pull them toward expansion. They trust their ability to figure things out. They believe opportunity will come again. They don't waste as much time in fear. But that doesn't mean you can't shift your own patterns. Because you can. You can begin to notice where your shadow holds you back. And with each step, your struggle becomes less about survival and more about growth. Jung also reminded us that true wealth isn't only external. He said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." This doesn't mean ignoring the material world. It means realizing that your inner awakening is the starting point for every outer change. When you wake up to your patterns, to your shadow, to your unconscious beliefs, you begin to shift the way you act. You begin to see risks differently. You begin to trust yourself more. And in that shift, new doors begin to open. So if you feel like you're struggling endlessly while others get richer, pause and ask yourself, what is this struggle teaching me? What belief is hiding underneath this pattern? Am I living by my own awareness or by unconscious scripts written long ago? Your struggle may feel like punishment, but in Jung's eyes, it's an invitation. An invitation to make the unconscious conscious. An invitation to transform shadows into strength. And that's where your story starts to change. But keep in mind, struggle also often repeats itself. It's almost as if life keeps handing you the same test over and over, until you finally learn the lesson hidden inside it. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that what we call bad luck or fate often comes from repeating the same unconscious cycles. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So if you keep finding yourself in debt, if you keep missing opportunities, if you keep feeling stuck in the same job, the same routine, the same place, it may not only be because the world is unfair. It may also be because your unconscious is trying to show you something. Think of it like this. If your shadow holds fear of failure, you may unconsciously avoid taking risks, which means you avoid opportunities. If your shadow holds feelings of unworthiness, you may unconsciously sabotage success, pushing away chances when they finally come. If your shadow holds bitterness, you may unconsciously distrust everyone, which stops you from building connections that could help you grow. The rich get richer partly because their unconscious works differently. They've been taught from early on that money is possible, that opportunity is normal, that success is expected. They may not be smarter than you, but their beliefs are aligned with abundance instead of scarcity. That doesn't mean you can't change yours. It means you have the chance to awaken, to make conscious what has been unconscious, to stop calling struggle your fate, and start calling it your teacher. Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. This is encouragement, not condemnation, because it means your struggle is not a dead end, it's a doorway. It's leading you inward, toward the very place where change begins. Have you ever wondered why some people, even when they lose everything, somehow bounce back? It's because their inner patterns are different. They see setbacks as temporary. They trust that opportunity will return. They refuse to believe that struggle defines them. Now compare that to the person who gives up after one failure, who internalizes defeat as identity, who says, this always happens to me, nothing will ever change. The difference isn't only in circumstances, it's in the shadow. One person has faced enough of their inner world to trust themselves. The other has not yet made that journey. But you can. You can begin now. By noticing the voice inside that tells you to stop. By questioning the patterns that keep repeating. By refusing to let unconscious beliefs dictate your destiny. Yes, society is unfair. Yes, privilege exists. Yes, some people start life miles ahead while others begin at the bottom. But Jung would remind you that no matter where you start, the key to change begins within. Because the unconscious creates the lens through which you see the world. And if you change that lens, you change the way you walk through life. So let's bring this into something practical. Think about your relationship with money. When you hear the word wealth, what emotion rises inside you? Excitement, hope, or maybe fear? Resentment, even guilt? Whatever your reaction is, that's your shadow speaking. If wealth feels dirty to you, you'll unconsciously push it away. If wealth feels unattainable, you'll unconsciously avoid pursuing it. If wealth feels tied to corruption, you'll unconsciously sabotage it. These beliefs live deep inside, and until you see them, they quietly shape your actions. This is why the rich seem to get richer. Not only because they have money, but because they don't carry as many unconscious blocks against it. They believe it's normal. They believe it's theirs to claim. And belief, repeated often enough, becomes reality. But here's the encouragement. You don't need to copy them. You don't need to chase money the way they do. You only need to notice the beliefs inside you, the ones that keep you in struggle, and begin to gently question them. Because every time you bring one shadow into the light, the struggle tied to it begins to weaken. And as Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This means the darkness you feel around struggle is not your enemy, it's your teacher. And the more willing you are to face it, the freer you become. So if you feel like you're stuck in the same cycle while others get richer, remember this: your story is not finished. Your unconscious patterns are not permanent. You can bring them into the light, you can awaken. And in that awakening, you begin to rise not only in wealth, but in depth, in courage, in freedom. Now I want you to stop and think back. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract opportunities without chasing them, while others chase endlessly and find nothing? It almost feels as though the world itself bends differently for each person. Like some invisible current carries the rich forward, while others are left swimming against the tide. Carl Jung believed this wasn't just luck. He believed that the patterns of the unconscious play a powerful role in shaping our lives. And he suggested that until we confront those patterns, they quietly rule us. He said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Meaning awakening to our hidden beliefs and fears isn't easy, but it is necessary if we want to change the cycles that keep us stuck. Now think of the habits of the rich. They invest instead of spending. They see possibility where others see risk. They surround themselves with others who push them forward. At first glance, this looks purely external: money, education, connections. But beneath the surface, it's also unconscious. They've been conditioned to expect growth, to expect opportunity, to expect abundance. Compare that to someone raised with constant struggle. The unconscious lesson there might be, money always runs out, or people with wealth are corrupt, or even, I don't deserve more. And if those beliefs live in the shadow, they will quietly sabotage every attempt at progress. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Why terrifying? Because when you look closely, you see not only your strengths but also your fears. You see the beliefs that hold you back. And once you see them, you can no longer blame only the world outside. You have to face your own inner patterns. But here's the hope. Once you face them, you begin to change them. You start rewriting the script. You stop letting the shadow whisper you into paralysis. You stop letting old fears dictate your choices. Have you ever noticed how quickly doubt can stop you? An idea sparks, and then immediately the inner voice arrives. It won't work. You'll fail. Who are you to try? That voice is not your true self. That's the shadow. And every time you believe it, the struggle continues. The rich get richer not only because they have resources, but because their inner voices often sound different. They've been trained to say, "Why not?" instead of "What if I fail?" They've been encouraged to try, even if they stumble. They've been told that money is a tool, not a curse. And this is where encouragement comes in. Because you can train your voice too, you can notice the patterns inside you and begin replacing them. It won't happen overnight. But slowly, steadily, your unconscious begins to shift. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." That's a message worth holding close. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. You are what you choose now. In this moment, imagine how differently life could look if every time doubt whispered, "You can't," you replied with, "Maybe I can." That simple shift creates new paths. And those new paths, repeated over time, create new realities. Of course, society itself is unequal. Privilege, corruption, injustice, these are real forces. But Jung would remind us that even within that unfair system, the way you meet your inner world matters. Because when you change the patterns inside, you start walking through the outside world differently. Your energy shifts, your decisions shift, your relationships shift. And slowly, the doors that once felt locked begin to open. Have you ever met someone who carries quiet confidence? Not arrogance, but a calm belief that they will find their way. Notice how the world seems to respond to them. They attract support. They attract opportunity. They attract respect. That's not magic. That's alignment. Their unconscious is not fighting them, it's carrying them. And you can cultivate that same alignment by noticing when your shadow speaks, by questioning the old stories you tell yourself, by choosing to act even when fear is present. Because here's the truth, everyone struggles, even the rich, even the powerful. The difference is in how those struggles are interpreted. For some, struggle is proof that they are doomed. For others, struggle is proof that they are growing. The same storm, but two very different meanings. And this meaning makes all the difference. Jung said, "In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order." So even in your struggles, there is order, there is meaning, there is growth hidden beneath the surface. So if you feel left behind while the rich get richer, remember this. Your struggle is not wasted. It is teaching you. It is shaping you. It is giving you the chance to awaken to patterns others may never notice. And once you awaken, your wealth, both inner and outer, will no longer be defined by comparison. It will be defined by clarity, by courage, by freedom. The rich may get richer, but you can become something even greater conscious. And consciousness is the kind of wealth no system, no injustice, no corruption can take from you. So, even if you struggle today, your story is not finished yet, and your tomorrow does not have to look like your yesterday. So don't give up and give it all you got.